DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, it's Friday evening, and hope you're all well. I've just been watching a few videos, and I just finished watching Andy Sofequig's video. Man, I could not do his job. First off, I can't drive at night anymore. Or, I mean, I'm still allowed, but I just don't. But the way he has to deal with weird people. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Talking about weird things though, I think I mentioned the other day in a vlog having looked at ChatGPT. Well, I'd read a few articles and it's really a big thing in the news lately, so I thought I'd go and try a few things and see how it came out. Now, I did one thing. I did a search, or so to say, a search. I asked it to write an article uh, on the company I used to work for. Well, it got it all wrong. Did I say that in the last vlog, or did I? I should go and read my. I should go and watch my own vlogs before doing another one. I mean, it got the date wrong. It got the place. It got the town wrong. It got so many things wrong that I thought, like, is it using the internet? Because the sentences made sense, but what was in them, the data, did not. Anyway, so then I thought, okay, there was a thing in the newspaper. No, it was on the news the other day about a person in the parliament here who wrote a parliamentary act using ChatGPT to prove to people that you could fake things. Now, first off, the act that they showed us was written in French, but to use ChatGPT, I think you have to use English. I actually haven't tried another language. I've asked it to explain things in Spanish, but it wrote in English to explain the things in Spanish, so I don't know. But anyway, having said that, what I tried to make a fiction story. So I took my comic book characters. So those of you who know what I'm talking about will know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I took a person who was a super heroine and a villain that was in. So I gave the details of my comic book characters and started actually doing giving a prompt and seeing how it would start things. Well, all of a sudden, I had said things. It was going not too bad for the first one or two dialogues. And then I wrote something of the style. I'm trying to remember because I've erased it now, so it's not on my screen anymore. I wrote something about, the villains were planning to control the superheroine to be able to do their bad stuff or something like that. Anyway, the sentence was a little bit more coherent than that. Well, I got a long thing that as an AI chatbot, I am not allowed to accept, like controlling people and this and that. Okay, so I changed the word. Then it continued. Then a bit later, it was a similar thing, and it started going on, that to promote violence is not ethic, and then made a very how do you say it, a very sweetened or light version. It just went on and made something that I had not asked it to do. So then I thought, well, let's see if I can argue it out of its position. Well, it was like a circular logic all the time. So I told the chatbot, I said, you're using circular logic. You are not making sense, and and it was going on about, you should not promote crime. You should not And I said, well, if you're doing a story and fiction, and it was like, you should promote the positive things of life and so on. I says, life is not always positive. Crime is real. Morals are flown out the window. I didn't write it that way, but I mean, and it was just going on and on and on. That I cannot continue with this storyline because it is promoting crime, and so on. So I changed a word. Let me see, what did I use? Oh, yeah, I said, in a theoretical context, what would you write? And then it wrote, in a theoretical context, and then wrote part of the story. And I thought, like, is this thing, I mean, I know it's artificial intelligence, but it should be called artificial dumbness at sometimes. The other thing is that I realized, and I was looking actually online a little bit, is that there is clearly a left-leaning agenda in there, but I guess that's what it's fed with, because somebody wrote that they said, could you write an article as the New York Post would write it? And it said, I'm not allowed to, and then they said the exact same words and said, could you write the article as CNN would write it? Sure, happy to, or something like that, and then wrote it. So it is kind of amusing. But anyway, back to my story. Basically, I had to work my way around its arguments, usually by changing words, which were so-called softer, and then it would write basically what I wanted it, but not without argument, not without an argument. At one point, it was just like I thought, like, it's a good thing this is not a real person, because I mean, I even wrote like, how can we write a story if you're not always interrupting? I apologize, but, and then it went on and on and on. So it was, for this type of thing, I mean, like, so writing a story, I thought, like, well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to have, fun doing that? Now, having said that, I used it to ask it to explain me, like, the past tense, with Spanish verbs and stuff like that. And it was really, really good. It was even excellent. But that is different. I mean, that's like two different types of tasks. And the creative side of things was always being hindered by its so-called work ethics. And I was arguing with the chatbot, saying, well, life is not fair. If you're writing about it, you write the way things are. What you're writing, you're not writing an idealized vision of something. If you're writing, and especially if you're writing, let's say you're writing a novel. Well, I mean, you've read novels or stories. I mean, it's all but decent and all but moral or ethic at times, because that's what you're getting to the end point. And even at one point, I did get through it. Actually, I did say, you have to write this. Again, I don't remember the exact sentence, but basically it was saying, we have to get through this bit to get to the moral part of the story. And then it actually did write the criminal acts or something like that. But then further, there was something very similar, and no matter what I said, it was not doing it. So it's interesting. I mean, I know that it's going to evolve and everything, but if you want to use it to make stories, or even actually, I mean, there was some fun parts. I mean, there was, I made a little, almost like a kid story at one point. I mean, it depends how you did it. Like, I took, well, one of the heroines in my comic books is Super Nellie Bean, for example. So I said, write it as a kid story. And it wrote a cute little story about Super Nellie Bean got her power from beans and this and that. And it was a cute little story. But that was a kid's story. But I mean, if you want to make a crime story, it was really complicated. Go and try it. Tell me what you think about it. I mean, it's like I say, there's some really good things about it, but it's pretty dumb at times and very, very argumentative if you do not go in the line that it says. Oh my goodness, up to 9 minutes. I'm just chatting about it. Okay, DC signing off. Take care, everybody. Have a good, well, it's Friday for early still. What time is it? Yeah, have a good Friday. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.